Welcome to Mana Tech Talks, a podcast created to give a platform to the brightest minds in Miami to tell their story while we play Jenga. Today I'm sitting down with Anji Ismail. He's a French-Tunisian technology entrepreneur and the co-founder and CEO of Finnt, a Y Combinator-backed startup using AI to transform how finance and accounting teams operate. With roots in both business and computer science, Anji has built companies across marketing tech, blockchain, and now financial automation. From Lyon to Tunis to Silicon Valley and now Miami, Anji embodies global innovation. He believes in trustworthy, human-centered automation, tech that empowers people, not replaces them. Welcome, Anji.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's dive in a little bit before you became an entrepreneur. So kind of what your character and how that character of being an entrepreneur came from. So some of your identity and the purpose behind building. So you're French-Tunisian and have worked across France, Silicon Valley, and now Miami. I can relate because I'm also a third culture kid. I don't know if you know the term of third culture kid, where you come from different, and it builds up your character. So how does that cross-culture journey shape your entrepreneurial mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, I think for me, since early days, even growing up in France, I grew up in different places. My parents were moving around apartments or neighborhood. So I was never really, I would say, attached to a place, or I was always trying to fit in a new place. And also, yes, as you said, by being from immigrant father in France, then you have both culture. So when moving into the US, I kind of like, that was natural for me to be in a new place. And yeah, I love that. And I love being in new places like Miami. Miami, I think, is that city where everything is new. A lot of people are coming from all over the world. And it just feels like the Far West, like the new adventure starting.
Yeah. Do you think this gives you like sort of an advantage over other people? Being so open-minded and wanting to meet people and fit in and find your place everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. It's like being able to adapt very quickly to a new environment, whenever it's for making friends or for starting a new business in a new area, in a new space. I think you have to rethink things very quickly and see where are opportunities. If you have had, I would say, a childhood where nothing changed so much, where everything is pretty flat, you probably don't experience enough of the risk that goes with starting a company, for example. So I think, yes, it definitely gives an advantage where you are putting in uncomfortable situation and you have to adapt, you have to figure out the new things, like speak a new language, make new friends, find new places to go do this or that. It's exactly the similar path when you're starting a company, because you start a company, you don't have customer, you don't have employee, you don't have money, you have nothing. So you have to figure out ways to make it work.
Perfect. So building off of that, you mentioned having, you mentioned having sort of this kind of different childhood where nothing was kind of like a set line. So when did you realize that you wanted to build companies? Was there a defining moment or maybe an influence or something that you learned along the way that said, I need to be an entrepreneur or I want to be an entrepreneur?
No, I think like from early on, for me, I was starting to look at entrepreneurs or successful people, not really matter how they become successful, but more like as a way to be successful myself. And I found that was probably the quickest way to be successful. And what that means, everybody has its own definition of success, but it's obviously being wealthy enough. Like I don't think you can live a happy life without money in this world. So money was one motivation early on for sure. And then it's like also doing whatever you want. So the freedom of building things and starting things and not being told, okay, you should do this or you should do that. So I think aspiration to success and wealth, and also the freedom, that was the two things. And yeah, early on, I will try to find side gigs to make some money, either reselling stuff like cards, thing on eBay when I was not even 18, so I had an account on eBay that was technically illegal, but I figured out a way to get an account, and I was selling, anything I would find to resell, basically. And so I think I was starting to see, I can make money with that, etc. So that started very early.
Okay, no, and that's very real on you to say that you were motivated, by money and being your own boss. I've heard that a lot as a trend in entrepreneurs, where they kind of get tired of that 9 to 5 in corporate world, and they're like, I need to be my own boss.
Yeah.
I need to, dictate what my work is going and what I can do. So it's very real. So being a repeat entrepreneur, what are the core beliefs has guided you through each venture? So more of like the moral strategy. So do you think you still have sort of that character when you were a kid? Does that reflect anything on what you do now? What's that sort of moral energy you have?
No, any new venture, any new company is like a new adventure. It's reset to zero. Even though a lot of things that you use for your company are compounding, like network, right? Like you start with nobody that can help you. It depends on where you're from, obviously. It depends on who your parents are, because there is a big advantage of being plugged in early on. So if you have parents that are wealthy and connected, you should just make 100x return on that. If you don't, you should just do 100x on one, let's say, not on zero. So you compound the network, you compound also the money. And so you're going to be able to take more risk with more money because you have a safety net that is bigger. And also you compound the experience. So I think for me, for each new companies, the first one I started out of school, no network, no money, no experience. And then the second one was a little bit easier, I would say. And this one is hard. It's very hard, but it's easier in many other ways, right? So I think for me, I see that as I said, a new adventure. And as we were discussing, like being in a new space, no matter what you are trying to address, there are some core skills and some core, I would say, thoughts that you need to have, which is you need to solve problems for people who are ready to pay for, right? So you need to build things. It can be just opening a bakery and doing a bread better than the other bakery down the street. Or it can be a startup and then doing a product that is better than the other product, or software that is cheaper, faster, and more accurate than the other software. And that you need just to figure out how to do that. Talking to people is usually the biggest and the fastest path to understanding a market, a problem, and then finding a right solution. And also having experience. If you work 10 years in a space, there is some good opportunities for you to find a problem that's worth being solved. Although sometimes working too long in the same industry, you start having a blind spot and not being able to identify the new solutions or new problems to solve.
Nice. I think there's a trend where you have never had that sort of stability and you're always looking for the next new thing to build and do. From this, like, how you've built morally, let's talk about how you've built professionally too. So you've launched companies in all of these different tech trends. So marketing tech, blockchain, and now AI for finance. So what connects these ventures more on that professional level? So is there any strategy that when you started and then now with Finnt?
Yeah, there is a lot of opportunity and being opportunistic to identify trends. I think there are different type of trends, different type of technology wave that happens. I was too young to really benefit from the internet wave, like in the end of the 90s. I got a computer very, very late. I bought my first computer myself with my money of working in the summer. I was probably 18 already. So I'm not like the kid that grew up with a computer and at 9 was cracking the code of whatever. But I think I was able to identify those trends that create opportunities. And I think for the marketing, of course, we had an idea at the time that the world would become more international. And like our thought was to say, can we build a community of marketers that will be able to take your product to the international? And so I think that trend was internationalization of software, internationalization of e-commerce, and like fast translation, etc. So it was not like a technical trend itself, but just a big push on e-commerce, on buying things online and from everywhere and from anywhere. Like, so that was what we identified. The blockchain thing was kind of a spin-off of the first company, but identifying blockchain, and I was early in Silicon Valley in the 2011, 2012, and listening about Bitcoin, about blockchain, potential, etc. And so I always believed that it will be a very, very big opportunity to build. It's very hard. It's still today hard. The venture, the company we did in 2018 was even earlier than today, both in terms of compliance, in terms of how people sees it. People always think it's a bubble, etc., etc. But it's usually how tech trends start. There is always a big bubble. There is always people that are crazy enough to be the first. And then you think about the next wave of adopters and the next wave of adopters, etc. They're always a little bit coming later. So there are less opportunity to make it a very big gain for them or for their career, etc. And so the third one, is blockchain. So same thing. I was working in between two companies. I was working as a director of product in a company in New York, and one of the engineers was starting to play with one of the first version of ChatGPT or GPT API. That was 2020, I think, and he showed me how to write a complete blog post with just like a very small prompt. Mm-hmm. And those blog posts for my first company, I was paying freelancers to write that like $200. And this guy showed me a pretty good blog post written in like 30 seconds by a robot with just 5 words. And I was like, shit, this is going to be huge. And so it took time for me to mature and to think, okay, it's going to be the next big shift. And compared to other trends, I think AI specifically is similar to internet, the invention of internet, or at least when internet started to becoming used by people. Even more, like probably AI is even closer to invention of electricity or to those huge revolution. And I really believe that we have like in one life, in let's say 45, 50 years of a career, you have one of this opportunity. And like either I'm wrong and whatever, I'm gonna start a new company or do something else, or either I'm right and I will have captured a lot of knowledge early on. I will have done bets, like I invested in startups that are AI. I built my company on top of that technology, etc. And the most important thing, as I said earlier, is to identify a problem that people want to pay for. But I think market timing is as important. We always say a good entrepreneur in a bad market, the market win. And bad entrepreneur in a good market, you might win even because the market will drive you. It's like a wave, right? So you can always figure out. So there is a lot of moving pieces, just like the Jenga. I think it's your turn, no? Or is it mine?
No, yours. Yeah.
Okay. And so you have to figure out the right pieces to move at the right time.
Wow, what a great connection to our Jenga play.
I'm gonna lose.
I think it's very important what you talk about, sort of educating on all these trends, because I remember when I got into sort of the tech world here with Mana, I actually went in with an NFT event. Those are a bit, past our time now. And I think it was very important to kind of teach yourself on like what you can build on and what you can't. Mm-hmm. I agree with the AI. I have yet to learn a lot about AI. That's why now I sit down with sort of the experts on it. But I think education on these things are important. So we'll dive in a little on the AI more in detail a little later, but I want to talk about Finnt. Mm-hmm. So what gap in finance? So as you talked about, finding the problem and giving a solution. Yeah. So what was the problem and why Finnt and why now?
Yeah, sure. No, so maybe rewind down a little bit. Like we started Finnt as a cross-border bank for diaspora families. Being in Miami was kind of like the best place to start it. Personally, as we said earlier, my family is coming from North Africa, so I've been always involved into money transfer to Tunisia. And with my co-founder at the time, we really wanted to solve for that problem in a better way than just people waiting at the Western Union queue, etc., to get their money to leave. So we started with that problem. We went through a huge stress test because we started at a Circle on Circle, which is a stablecoin company using USDC. Then it was 2022. There was a big crash in crypto with a protocol that collapsed like 100 million of dollars. And then there was FTX, another big collapse. So we built on top of a banking service provider. 1 year later, that bank provider collapsed. They go bankrupt. So in 2 years, we almost went to bankrupt with the first iteration that was this B2C, so consumer-facing bank for families. And then we decided to pivot completely to something new. But we had to bring it some of the learning and some of the insights that we gathered with the bank. So the idea was to say, can we build a product that finance teams are going to use to do some of the things we did with the bank? And it started with what we call reconciliation. So in finance, because you have money movement, it's very hard for finance teams to understand, or they have to spend a lot of time to understand what are the money movements, how they match themselves, how the credit and debit match, etc. And so they spend hours, like millions of hours every year in the world is spent on spreadsheets, on statements from banks, on invoices matching, etc., just to figure out how the money is flowing. And I figured out it would be a good space to build AI because there is a lot of manual work happening.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, you know, it's crazy. No, it's more than a nightmare. It's like people are super smart and spending, I think from the different numbers you will see, it's like 60 to 70% of their time on manual tasks that involve spreadsheets. And literally, I was talking to someone yesterday, the guy was saying, I sometimes fell asleep in front of my computer because I'm like watching, okay, is that transaction matching that transaction? And that's crazy when you think about it, that it's not being solved. And we have self-driving cars and we have, crazy invention. And then you still have people that are doing robotic work. And just because it's in front of a computer, we don't say it's factory work. Like we don't say it's like, because they are usually well paid to do this job, not super well paid. It's not like people on Wall Street. It's corporate finance I'm talking about. So it's accountant, controllers, etc. They are well paid, but they are still doing very robotic work. And it's very, very tough. And also the new generation doesn't want to do these jobs. So there's a big gap because you need a lot of attention. And the new generation doesn't have a lot of attention.
I don't know if I count as the new generation, but I hear the word spreadsheet and I want to scream.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe if it was on a TikTok, app, like you just have to scroll and to swipe, maybe the transaction. Maybe that would be a good idea. But yeah, so we decided to go after that, and ultimately got some early customers, rebuild a little bit of the teams. That was also a very hard part of the journey because we had to figure out a new way of working for new type of customers and new skill set that we needed. And ultimately, we are in a position where, it's growing, it's getting somewhere. And what most importantly is that we have customers paying for the software we are building. So that's some kind of validation.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for helping us solve our spreadsheet problems. So I'm actually curious about Y Combinator. So I've heard, a lot of things about Y Combinator, the ultimate program. So I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly of Y Combinator. And what did you bring from this into how you build companies now, if you did at all?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there is no doubt it's the best program I have experienced myself. And even though I had started 2 companies before going through Y Combinator, YC, I still feel like it was the best experience. The first thing, I mean, on the best part of it is like the people. Not only the people that mentor you, but also the people you meet, like the entrepreneurs. It's true that they are some of the best, like smartest and hardest working people that you will ever meet. You also hear stories about early companies like Airbnb, Stripe, Brex, etc. And the number of pivots and the number of time they're almost bankrupt is inspiring, because you say, oh yeah, Stripe is like 100 billion valuation now. Ooh. Almost bankrupt, you see? That's entrepreneurship.
Almost bankrupt, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you hear those stories about them like going through crazy iteration, etc., to get where they are. And ultimately, they are huge companies. They don't have that much ego, because they tell you, hey, we had to sleep on an air mattress, we had to do this, we had to do that. And that, I think, very, very interesting to hear, like from a first person, not to read in a book, but to hear in a discussion. So that's for the good thing. Also, Y Combinator has a framework that is proven and tested and scaled, where they give you all the content that you need to not make the mistakes. Like, for example, you want to raise capital in the US, you want to raise money from VC, you need to be a Delaware C Corp, you need to have a certain structure, a certain type of lawyers, etc. So if you're in Miami, you start your company and you are an LLC in Miami, chances are that you're not going to raise, or you're going to have to change your structure. So it's going to cost you $15,000, $20,000 to get a lawyer to change the structure. So this type of thing that are so common for YC, some very young entrepreneurs, they make all that mistakes. And so I think that's why it's so good. And obviously there is a huge network and a huge brand. Like, it's true that it helps you to hire, it helps you to raise money, it helps you to open a bank account at a private bank if you want, to get a vendor to give you $100,000 of discount for their product. So all that is true. I don't think there is any ugly, at least stories that I know personally, but I think the bad thing is probably on the fundraising side. So when you raise money going through Y Combinator, you get a pretty high valuation, and that is like as a benefit and a big drawback. The benefit is obviously you're going to get more money for your equity, so you have less dilution in your cap table, like you own more of your company. That's good. As an entrepreneur, you want to keep as much as you can as your company, but also you want to grow, so you want investor to invest so you can grow. But the bad thing is that you have to grow into that valuation. So you need to quickly show growth, and you need to show quickly that you are executing on a plan that's going to get the valuation to a large number, so that investors continue to be excited and they continue to invest at this big valuation. If you don't, the risk is that you're going to raise money, or you're going to need to raise money at a lower valuation that will kill kind of the momentum, the cap table, etc. So it's a bad and a good thing in a way, because it forces you to execute super fast and to be doing just a strike. Like, you have to continue shipping, continue being good, etc. But obviously, in many companies, and especially companies that have other type of product to build, I would say hardware, or even like in fintech, some compliance related stuff, etc., that takes time and resilience. Investors will get very, very aggressive on terms if you are not delivering after 1 year. So you have to have this timestamp in a way, and this milestone say, after 1 year, you are doing that much revenue, like let's say 2 million revenue per year. If you don't, then you're going to be on the not so exciting deal of the table, and then you're going to have a hard time to raise, etc. And this is especially more true with AI, where the expectation now are to grow 100% every month, basically. So if you do 1 million on January, you need to do 2 million in February. So, and that type of growth is is the philosophy of Y Combinator. So that's why investors are ready to pay a lot of money and a big valuation when you are inside the accelerator, because they know you are on the launch pad. But once you are launched, and so your rocket is starting, then you better be continuing to go fast and up. Otherwise, you can crash. And that's not a bad thing. Like crashing fast, I think, is better than just staying alive for nothing.
Fair enough. So if you could do it again, you would do it all over again. The Y Combinator experience.
Yes, and not throwing the Jenga on the floor. I was so no.
It's a Y Combinator.
No. But I trained with my kids over Thanksgiving, and now I missed.
I bet they beat you every single time.
No, I would redo Y Combinator if I can get in with a new venture, with a new company. I will do it again. I know I have a friend who did 3 times Y Combinator, and he got good exit every time he did it. I mean, the current one is still going, etc., and it's growing. And when I asked him, like, why do you do it? He said, every adventure is a new field, and Y Combinator help you to navigate that field.
Right.
So I think yes.
He probably goes in looking for something different each time he does a program. I think it's important. I've interviewed a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of them talk about how sort of lonely it is to be an entrepreneur sometimes, and they can't relate to everyone who's working. And I think it's reassuring to go to a program where people have fallen deeper than you. So you're not doing that bad, but you kind of relate to everyone that's there. So I think that's important. And out of curiosity, I wanted to know your experience in Y Combinator. So let's jump back on AI, since I have zero to no knowledge about it, more than like ChatGPT. But it is a subject that brings a lot of controversy. There's little to no regulations on it. So I want to know what the biggest misconception about AI in finance is today, in your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the AI in finance misconceptions are very close to the other fields. You have just innovation skepticism of people that no matter the technology, people will say it's not going to work. We have tried already. And most people don't understand that technology is compounding its effects. So it's not because you tried automation 5 years ago that AI is not going to work for you today. There is a thing that we say in AI is that models, like LLMs, are the worst they are going to be is today, and tomorrow they're going to be better, and the day after they're going to be better, etc., etc. So that's something that is very hard to understand when you do not work with, I would say, technology, software, etc., on a daily basis. Usually, I will tell people, hey, remember when we had Nokia 3310, for example? So that was one of my first phone. I'm old, sorry. So like now look at the iPhone, and this is 15 years, 20 years, right, of lifespan of the mobile. So now same thing, like technology is now accelerating. So you're gonna have a Nokia 3310 yesterday, and tomorrow you have an iPhone 17, right? So that's the type of speed that AI is printing. And so I think it's very hard for people, especially in finance, because finance is a very critical part of a company where you cannot have something wrong. So accuracy is super important. Innovation comes with big risk. So you want to implement it in a very good way. But the risk to not implement, I think, for AI are bigger than to implement it. So if you do not implement, your company is basically going to run on and is going to drive a train that is going to stop, that is going to be super slow compared to the train that people are with AI, right? So you take a risk, just like internet, when you didn't, like companies that didn't want to move to e-commerce very quickly, they got in big trouble. Some of them went bankrupt, etc. But imagine that time frame being in weeks instead of years with internet adoption. And I think that's the biggest misconception, and it's not due to, again, to the Department of Finance themselves. It's due to the human nature of saying, oh, it's technology, I have time, I will see whatever people do with it, and then I will follow what they are doing. I think the most important thing is for everybody to just get to use it. Like ChatGPT is the first thing. Yeah, like use ChatGPT every day. Don't use anything else until you master the use of ChatGPT, and then start to use software like AI software to create videos, to create music, to edit podcasts, to all these things. You can write books. You can do spreadsheet automation, right? So all these things. I think right now, the first thought should be, how can I do that with AI, right? Like, I'm going to cook a recipe. How can I
cook it for me?
Yeah. No,
I'll have AI
not yet.
cook it for me.
Like do the recipe for me with whatever I have. So a great example is take a picture with ChatGPT of your fridge, and it will tell you what you can cook with what you have in your fridge. Right? That's example of things that are. I love it because it's really the creativity. And some people will say, oh, human will always have creativity. I'm sorry, but I can say today, AI is doing better video, music, and images than 99.9% of the humanity. Mm-hmm. There is always artists that are doing better, but me and many, many other people, I cannot write a song. I cannot.
You can't?
Sometime. No, but like I cannot create an image from scratch, like of a panda riding a bike on the moon or whatever. Like it will take me weeks on Photoshop to do that. And I don't even talk about drawing it myself. Mm-hmm. Like that would be so ugly. So I think that's the type of thing that we see as a risk, is that people are always looking at technology as something they can do later. Mm-hmm. But yeah, AI is a bit different in that sense.
Okay, so going off of all of this answer and what you mentioned before about how you used to pay someone $200 to write an article, mm-hmm. now you just plug it into ChatGPT with a brief prompt. How can you make sure that you are empowering people with AI and not just replacing them?
Yeah, no, that's the biggest question, and I think the way to see it is like AI is going to replace people. There is no doubt, but the people who are going to replace, it's going to be, unfortunately, their decision to be replaced. Because when we will do this discussion and people maybe watch it and they say, oh yeah, I'm going to wait a little bit. They will be able to go back to the time they watch a video or read an article that was saying, hey, use AI, etc., to not be replaced, and they will have made a decision to not use it. So I think people who are going to replace in their jobs, in their life as well, because I think it's going to have a lot of impact on personalities and creativity, etc., are people who are going to be staying outside of the evolution. Just like if you decided today to not live with electricity, that's a perfect choice. It's a great life, I think, to live, with just fire on a mountain or on an island, etc. I mean, I won't do it, but I think people must be happy, but they should not complain when they have said, I'm not going to use that technology. You should admit that you're going to be late to the party, and unfortunately, when you're late to the party, maybe the room is too crowded, and now you don't have a spot.
Right.
So what we see, for example, in workflow automation in finance is that people who are going to be replaced, and I talk with CFOs who would tell me, hey, I'm going to cut my budget my people budget by 50%. There are people, the first people who are targeted are people who said, I don't want to use that technology. It's too scary. It's not accurate. It's too la la la. They don't have like clear objection on the reasons, but they oppose basically the innovation. And so people are going to be replaced. The way to not be replaced is to start using it. It's to be curious. Is to retrain.
To go to the party.
Yeah, go to the party.
So we invite everyone to go to the AI party.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be late to the AI party.
Yeah, exactly. AI party, AI events, watch videos, like listen, be curious. And I would say at the end of the day, AI will always need humans for work or for creativity, etc. But will just remove a lot of the things that nobody likes to do. And even in
spreadsheets.
Yeah, like spreadsheets. And even in creative process, there is a lot of things that musicians hate to do on their computer. And there is a lot of things that artists hate to do on their painting, etc. So anywhere you see AI being used, there are going to be people being replaced. For the one that do not want to be replaced, they should start adopting. And there is many tools. There's a lot of education around it, many videos, website, etc. So yeah, that's how I see it. It's going to empower us.
There's no excuse to not learn
No,
about
there is
it.
no excuse. And it's it's an evolution, like opportunity. It's not a technology. I think we have to see it as human plus AI is the next generation of humans. It's not just like, oh, we have now a computer in our pocket, like the smartphone. Smartphone was just to take the power of computer and put it in a small thing. Here it's like a whole new energy. It's a whole new everything. Like it can solve climate problem, it can solve cancer, it can solve a lot of things. So it's a new way to think through humanity, and I think most people don't understand how big of a shift it is. So that's my advice.
Okay, no, good advice. We should all take it. So since you did lose at Jenga, you owe us a funny entrepreneur moment or story that you can think of.
I have many of them. What can I share that is not...
Only if it makes me laugh. If it doesn't make me laugh...
Oh, wow.
I'm kidding.
No, I think I can... Like, it's probably not a fun fact. It's more like a... like, I would say, an advice as well for people who want to be entrepreneur, but just to show... Like, it's funny in a way because it shows how you start things from scratch. So when I arrived the first time in Silicon Valley, that was 2010, I think. So I was living literally on maybe $5 per day. I mean, it was before inflation, before COVID. So things were a bit cheaper, but I will stay in hostel. So I'll share the room with people, etc. And so because I had just $5, let's say, I will, on every night, I will try to find a place where they have networking events and where they have food, right? They have drinks and they have food and they have pizza. Most of the time were pizzas. Sometimes was like some vegetables. And I can now go back to my LinkedIn and identify the people who I met through this type of events. And I can relate to everything they helped me achieve in my small career, right? Like be it an introduction to an investor, being an employee that I end up hiring, being a customer, etc. So I think the funny part is like no matter how modest you start and like going to this event, getting the food for free, etc. You laugh, so
you did win.
You are going to compound this, right? So all these small efforts when you start are very important because after 15 years, these people will forget that you were eating for free at the event. But they will say, oh yeah, this guy, I remember I met him in 2010. Wow, that's a long time. And so the connection, the bridges that you build with these people doing all this thing. And there was one guy, and I forgot his name, I should find it, that told me one of the best advice for entrepreneurs is to always show up. Just like make things happen by always showing up. So you get invited somewhere, you show up. You don't know what's going to happen. Of course, there is some time you need to prioritize things. So if you get invited to a party where you think it's going to be a waste of time, don't go. But if you have just one in that it's going to lead to, a customer, an investor or whatever, just show up. And if it doesn't fit you, you leave after 15 minutes.
And you get free food at least.
And you get free food, exactly. So I think that compounding effect, I'm always so amazed that, in 2009, I had, maybe 20 people on LinkedIn. I mean, not everybody was on LinkedIn at that time, but I was people from my school and maybe one or two teachers, and that's it. And now I can, connect to so many people through that because I show up to so many events with free food.
I love the free food. So talking about some of these advices you can give to entrepreneurs, I know a lot of them struggle with this sort of like social debt and keeping a balance of your personal life and professional life. So what's something that you do and please don't say cold plunges, that keeps you in the right mind as a CEO, mentally and professionally? And what advice can you give to other entrepreneurs who are sort of struggling with this balance?
No, cold plunge I couldn't do because I cannot even swim under maybe 70 degrees. 22 or something. I don't even know in Fahrenheit. No, I don't have any crazy rituals. Like I don't do meditation. I talk to myself a lot. So
you journal or just?
No, every time. Like there is still like 2 or 3 people right now talking, doing things in the back.
They're working in the back.
They're working. Yeah,
doing spreadsheets.
Spreadsheet, exactly.
Nice.
So I don't think that's a ritual. I have not put it into, I would say, a process where I can say it's a ritual. No, I think for me it's really sleep.
Okay.
Being able to sleep 8 hours a night, 7-8 hours.
Impressive.
So I usually sleep around 11, wake up at 7, sometime earlier because I have my younger kid is waking up a bit early. But I think that's very important. And also keeping friends and family, like keeping time. So it's very easy to say, I put in like a lot of importance to my friend and my family. But when I say that, it's like, if you don't have a lot of money and you have one trip to book a flight to see your family 3 days, book a flight to go 3 days with your friends somewhere, right? I think that's very, very egoist and in a way very self-centered to say that you need to use your people for yourself. But I think that's one of the best medicine. It's like, I have people around me that say, oh, I have not seen my family in 2 years.
That's crazy.
Like, even if you don't like them, there is probably at least one person you like. And just because they are your family or they are your friends from kindergarten, you have so many things in common that just by talking to them, it's going to activate a lot of things in your brain, a lot of souvenirs, etc. And I think that's my 2 things: sleep and making sure I spend time with families. And of course, now I have 2 kids, so making sure I spend time on the weekend. So for now, I don't work most of the time on the weekend. I try to end my days around 6 p.m. and then after 9 p.m. I work again. Weekend are really for like small emails, emergencies, etc. And I'm in total contradiction with 996 and 997. So people in Silicon Valley working from 9 to 9, 7 days a week. It's great for founders who are on top of the pyramid. They are like making crazy money with that model. But I think for early employees, if they don't get the outcomes they expect, it's probably their full career that will be impacted by that. Like a burnout is going to impact their whole career. So it's because they did 3 years with that high intensity. If it pay off, great. Maybe they can be retired at 25. But most likely, even if they get a big exit, they're going to get a few millions and they still need to work. But when you're burned out once, you don't want to work that same intensity. So I think being consistent, having life balance is not about not thinking of your company, right? If we define life balance with thinking of your company, I think of my company all the time. When I'm traveling, when I'm with the kids, etc. But I am not in front of my computer taking a customer call on a Sunday at 11 a.m. I don't do that. Because first, the customer is not available. They have a life. So that's the first thing. But also because I need my time to do other things, even though I have the 2 other people thinking of spreadsheet, as you said. So that's kind of my...
sort of taking that break from everything is important. And of course, you need to practice more Jenga with your kids now. Spend more time with them on that.
They're going to be like, especially my daughter, she's going to be super sad. I say, I lost at Jenga.
Oh no!
I think maybe you can edit the video so
it looks like maybe we'll see. So now for one of my favorite questions here at Manatech, we're building the next entrepreneurial tech hub in downtown Miami under Moishe Mana's mission. He already has 80+ properties here, so we're building from zero essentially, I guess it sort of looks like now that it looks like this now. So reverse, we're building. So you've lived in a lot of different places, countries, continents, and you actually come from Silicon Valley. So why Miami now?
Yeah, no, it's when we moved here, it was during COVID. So it was some friends living here that say, hey, you should come visit. Everything is open. Schools are open. That was important for us. And at that time, we were living in New York. So New York was dead, was like dead city. And now it's back like big time. But I think we found here in Miami a community that was very diverse, very open-minded, and also just having that balance of saying, yeah, on the Sunday you can go to the beach, and on a Saturday you can do a barbecue almost year round. Like you don't have to wait 3 months in the year. So I think just by its location, its weather, etc., Miami is attractive for that. And the first 2 years, I would say even 3 years, it was only about this. And then we started to have friends. And we figured out like, oh, we have more friends than we ever had because you can go out, because kids feel safe, etc., etc. So friends were the second reason. And the third reason, that was more recent, I would say like the last 18 months, I learned about the community, the downtown community project and Mana specifically, and thought like, okay, yeah, this is still some city in the US that have this vision for the future to build like a better way. And some cities in the US, unfortunately, are falling apart for different reasons. Maybe Miami in 30 years will be in the situation of some other cities. But I think for the next several years, there is a big opportunity to do things here. And there is a lot of money, a lot of super successful people here. There's a lot of people that are not rich yet, but they want to succeed. So a lot of hustlers in good and bad ways. You always get an entrepreneur like come to do your outlet, electric outlet, and he want to sell you like maybe chicken or something else. So that's great. I love that spirit because I think like people want to do their stuff and they want to achieve things. And it's empowering, even for me, like repeat entrepreneur, etc. Feeling that there is that type of energy when you can have someone like Moshe having 80 properties and rebuilding things. It's not something like this type of monopoly game. It's not something you can find in many places in the US where the cities are already built, already established, etc. And in that city, you have this feeling that you are one call away from the most powerful person or the richest person or the person that is willing to work the hardest to make it. And I want my kids to grow in that environment, and I want to contribute also. Like being in a community where everything is set and you cannot bring more than what you take on a daily basis is less interesting in a way. Here you can very quickly give back to people, right? Because there are people in very bad immigrant situation. For example, you have people that are suffering from the inflation. Everything got super expensive because of people from New York, etc. So I think like trying to bring back by sharing advices, making introduction to entrepreneurs, to investors, and just sharing back is my way to say I'm going to contribute to that community. And because it's being built in front of my eyes, I can be part of it.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. Just one last question for our listeners. How can they follow your work and learn more about Finnt?
Yeah, I think today I'm mostly active on LinkedIn. Twitter kind of blacklisted me, so I don't know. I don't get any reach. Maybe Elon Musk doesn't like me.
I don't want to ask why you were blacklisted, but okay.
No, I don't know. Like it was weird. Like at some point there was some algorithm change in X now, where I don't know. I post something and it seems like nobody sees it. So I'm posting more on LinkedIn. Okay. I do some YouTube podcasts as well. And on LinkedIn, I'm trying to usually always reply to any direct message. I try to do the same with emails. I mean, my inbox is always 0 at the end of the day. That's my biggest thing.
Impressive.
I hate notifications, so I quickly delete things. I quickly put things in spam. But everything that is important, I try always to reply very quickly. So if people are interested in sharing their journey, if they want help on something, introduction, etc. LinkedIn is the best way to reach out. And I post almost every week, sometimes things that are not interesting, sometimes things in French. I still speak a lot of French, but that's I would say LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for, again, this conversation and everything. And I'll see everyone at the next Manatech Talks episode.